I want to thank my panelists, my fellow panelists, for being here, because first off, we take our time. We all have our own practices, but we take time out of our practices to come here and put on these no-cost educational events. Many of us have walked down the road of divorce. We know how taxing it is mentally, emotionally, and physically. And not only are we taking time out of our business, sometimes technology, as you know, throws some curves at you. Just all of us being able to log on here as panelists was a little bit of fun today, but we figure it out. And so we're here for you, and we're glad that you made it. We're not happy for the reason you're here, but we are happy that you came to us, because this is where we live, helping people navigate the choppy waters of divorce. This is a live event. It's a shortened event over many that we do, because we want this content to be available on demand. And we know that many times people are in situations where they can't give their full attention, because you might have kids, dogs, soon to be ex-spouses, work, whatever going on around you. So we're pretty creative in developing content. You can find us all over the social media sites. You can find us at vestadivorce.com. You can visit us at these live events. And I got to tell you, I wish to goodness I knew of something like Vesta Divorce when I went through my divorce, because I needed all the skill sets that are represented, the core skill sets that are represented in the Vesta Hub. So Vesta started, I don't know, almost 11 years ago now, out of New England. And they were started because we believe the divorce market is largely broken. It's combative, it's confusing, it's costly. It's mostly litigious. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's not a crime. In fact, you think about it for a second, in a divorce case, they have a petitioner and a plaintiff. So right away from the very beginning, the whole language is litigious. And we wanted to take some of the angst out of that. So Vesta developed what I call the Vesta style, the Vesta collaborative style. What we do is we put together these hubs of professionals. The core skill sets are a divorce attorney or a family attorney, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a CDFA, which myself and my colleague Greg Smith will be joining me here. A CDFA is a certified divorce financial analyst. It's different than a financial analyst or a CPA or an investment advisor or a wealth asset manager. I am those things, but this is something different than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. A realtor and a mortgage lender are the core skill sets. And I needed all those things when I went through my divorce. I had them. Guess what? They were all siloed. They all work separately. I'm a big team guy. I coach sports. I played sports. I had big organizations with direct reports. I believe you're much more powerful with a team than you are with individuals. So what Vesta did was put together these hubs of professionals that work together collaboratively, and we leverage our skill sets. We have confidence, experience, and an affinity for one another. So what that translates to for the participants, for you, is you wind up spending less money. You're more informed about the process, about how to negotiate the process and get through it, and you have a better outcome. And that's super powerful to me. I believe there are 4 major pillars to divorce: the financial piece, the legal piece, the emotional piece, and particularly if you live in California, the real estate piece. And I would submit to you that none of them could be ignored. They're all very important. So we handle all those things, we cover all those things. So today, our subject is the 10 ways out-of-court resolution can save you money. And just common sense can tell you that without us telling you much. Your common sense tells you that if you can have a resolution out of court, that's going to be better off for you. We invite you to come back for as many of these events as you'd like to do. They're no-cost events, but what I really strongly encourage and urge you to do is to reach out to us for an individual consultation, because these events are general and educational in nature, and all of us are important. I'm okay with you making any decision you want to make as long as you do it from a position of being informed. And that means don't wait to reach out to Tommy Evans. That may, who's the mortgage lender. You might be surprised as the CEO of the home that you still can qualify for a new home if you want, or a different home. I say, wouldn't you want to know? And don't be shy or delay in reaching out to Susan Piazza. who is a realtor who can provide a comparative market analysis rather than going to Zillow and Redfin. And please don't be hesitant in reaching out to someone like Cheryl Woodhouse. I was a big, tough football player. Divorce is a very emotional thing. I cried like a baby. I'm not ashamed to say that. Crying and letting out is okay. Someone like Cheryl, who's trained and helping you with that, can go a long way. All right, I'm going to stop now because we're going fast, and we're going to get on with our presentation. And I'm going to share my screen. Let me see, I got the right one up. I do. We're going to go slideshow from the beginning. Okay, 10 ways out-of-court divorce can save you money. Patricia, you want to do the legal disclaimer?
I will. So just to start off with, all of our attorneys, we are licensed only in California. The purpose of this program and this recording is to provide helpful legal information. It is difficult, if not ill-advised, for our legal professionals to provide detailed, specific legal advice. The reasons are that each case is unique and very fact-specific. And there are nuances and details that we do not have the time tonight or the privacy to flesh out. Importantly, all of our legal professionals adhere to the highest ethical and professional standards. They must be cautious about issues of potential conflicts of interest and fulfillment of professional ethical responsibilities in a limited format like this event. With that being said, we will do our best to give some important information tonight that will help clear up some of the confusion and uncertainty about divorce. However, some questions may be better suited for a private consultation with one of our legal professionals. We thank you for understanding and hope you will not be offended if your specific questions cannot be answered or it's suggested that you schedule a private consultation. Next page. On a final note, please understand that the legal information given tonight is to be considered educational, informational, and general in nature. The discussion and question and answer exchanges shall not create an attorney-client relationship and does not carry the protections of confidentiality that would apply to an attorney-client relationship. And again, our attorneys are licensed in California only, so when we discuss anything legal, we're talking about the laws as they apply to California. So our next slide, Glenn. All right. Way number one to save money on an out-of-court resolution. So first I'll introduce myself. I am Patricia Van Haren. I am a collaborative family law attorney and mediator. What that means is that all of my cases are resolved outside of the courtroom setting, with the exception of very limited cases that are court appointments to represent children as a minors counsel in court, and court appointments as a parenting plan coordinator when there are high conflict parties. Other than that, my entire practice is outside of court. So I have a child-centered practice. And what that means is, regardless of the process that we're using for divorce, if there are children involved, we're going to structure any agreements, any procedures around what's going to be best for those children. I also believe in preserving the family so that you can move forward after divorce and continue to participate in the lives of your children, each other, and extended families as well, whereas a lot of litigation cases don't allow for that. We do have cases where litigation is appropriate, and we have an amazing litigation attorney who's part of our hub, but she is not presenting at tonight's webinar. She is enjoying time with her own family. So time is money. Any kind of out-of-court resolution, such as mediation or collaborative divorce, is going to take less time than litigation. You're also not going to have to pay expensive trial costs like court reporter fees. You're going to pay your attorney only for the time working on your case. So mediation is where both spouses work together with a neutral party, a mediator, that helps facilitate discussions and come to agreement. So when I'm acting as a mediator in a case, I'm only getting paid for the time I'm working with the spouses on their case. When I was litigating and I had to go to court, I maybe spend 15 minutes having this case argued in front of the judge. But my clients are paying me to sit in court because I can't work on other people's cases. So there's that wait time, there's a travel time of going there. So when you're working on out of court resolutions, your attorney is working on your case, and that's what you're paying for, rather than all that extra, all the extra costs there. Also, the length of time it takes to get divorced is going to be a lot shorter in a mediation case or a collaborative case. In a collaborative case, both parties have made a commitment, they've signed an agreement that they want to keep their case outside of court. The attorneys that they hire are collaboratively trained attorneys that know how to work together as a team and also be able to advocate and represent their clients without getting adversarial. So you're not paying for attorneys to posture and argue back and forth, because your attorneys are actually working together to find solutions that are going to work for both spouses and, more importantly, their kids. In both these processes, you're not going to have the same amount of time involved as you would in a litigated case. Since we're skipping a lot of the posturing and that negative, the negative interactions back and forth between the attorneys, it's really done on more of a solution-focused model. So any meetings that we're having, they're pre-arranged meetings. It's done on a structure, and you're really paying for the time that's spent in your case. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl, and she's going to give you the next two tips on how you can save money on these out-of-court resolutions.
Thanks, Patricia. Hi, my name is Cheryl Woodhouse. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist, and I too am only licensed in California. So if someone's calling me and they need life coaching, divorce coaching, I'm able to do that, which is more goal-oriented. But if it's anything to do with mental health, it would be that you would have to be in the state of California. My points here are emotional. Why would you choose to not go to court? Well, I'd like to think about the number of clients that I've worked with that the minute they use the D word for divorce, they have all their friends that say, come on, let's go out, let's go have some cocktails. And it's vengeance. Let's get back at your blankety blank ex. And they don't realize that that costs money. And a lot of times my clients are amicably splitting. And so this is where all the things that Patricia was talking about is that it makes more sense to be out of court. And the reason for it is, like she said, it's going to cost you money, but I'm here to tell you it's going to cost you your mental health. I don't know anybody for any reason that enjoys being in the courtroom. It increases your anxiety. Not many people are versed in how to behave in a courtroom setting. And so it immediately puts an adversarial spin to it. And you really want to be disarmed. But you're both viewing it as a more amicable, let's be cooperative, let's move forward as a team, and let's just get this done. So it's really important, if you want to reduce that emotional reactivity, to really consider this option. The other emotional component is, who doesn't want to hold their own control of their own lives? I don't know anybody that sees me that doesn't want to feel in control in a very stressful situation like going through a divorce. So when you do it out of court, you get to determine really what you would like out of it, as well as your soon-to-be ex. And if you're able to work out something together, whether it's with a collaborative attorney, or I've known some people that are slightly more litigious, but they can agree to work with one attorney, come up with an agreement, have another attorney review for the other party, and make sure it's a win-win situation. You can move to an end date a lot faster in divorce court, because all you have to do is obtain a court order, rather than that old school way of thinking. you get a lawyer, the other person gets a lawyer, and it's all about vengeance. And you really want to reframe that, what we call in therapy talk, or think differently about the whole process of divorce. And it doesn't have to be adversarial. So I really encourage you, unless you're dealing with a strongly characterized narcissist who just wants to win at all costs, someone with a severe personality disorder, if you're able to be cooperative, please move that way. It will cost you so much less emotionally as well as financially. Thank you. Next slide.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay, that's me. I hope you all will excuse my my picture when I'm not on screen. I usually have a picture of me, my dog, my French bulldog, and myself, but I have a son who was on the Kansas City Chiefs, caught his first NFL touchdown a couple of weeks ago. He got a knee injury, so got waived. Hopefully somebody will pick him up, but that was my son with the Kansas City Chiefs, Mr. Keikoa Crawford. Okay, anyway. Let's get on the financial side. So myself and Greg Schmidt, my colleague, belong to a group called Strategic Divorce Planning. We're comprised of CDFAs, Certified Divorce Financial Analysts, mediators, forensic accountants, business valuation people, and CPAs. We handle anything having to do with the financials of divorce. And there are generally three things that have to be negotiated: marital asset division, spousal support, and child support. And lawyers can tell you what you're legally entitled to, but they don't answer the question everyone asks: what's the impact on my life? Have you taken into consideration taxes, risk, liquidity, and the ability to generate income? Am I going to be okay? Those are the questions that Greg and I answer. And I can tell you that this is a business. You're in a business. You have a marital corporation, a marital enterprise. And just as if you were in a business, you'd want to know how much is in inventory, how much is in accounts receivable, how much is in accounts payable, what is our intellectual property, what contracts do we have coming up, so on and so forth. The same thing, you're negotiating a business deal. And marital asset division is essentially final. You got one chance to get it right. Here's the good news. You are a partner in the corporation, period. Whether you are the major wage earner, the big time lawyer, the super salesperson, the super agent, whatever it happens to be, or the CEO of the home. You are an equal partner in everything you acquired during the course of your marriage. You're also responsible for half of what you incurred or debt during the course of the marriage. The trick is, how do we divide it in an equitable way? And another thing lawyers don't do is communicate in a fashion that's easy to understand. They got their own nomenclature, their own formatting, their own, documents. It's tough to, extract what's being negotiated, particularly if you're not at your best. So we help provide some clarity to that. Here's the good news. About 95% of divorces are not decided by a judge or not decided in the court. Your paperwork is in the court, but you don't have to be in the court. I have something I'll call the 5 isms of divorce. One of them is that you can negotiate anything, you can agree on anything you want to agree on, absent a judge, an attorney, or an advisor like myself or Greg. And everything is negotiable. Spousal support is negotiable. It can be a buyout. All the assets are negotiable. Any interest in real estate, the date of separation, everything is negotiable. And you have the ability to do that if both parties are have full disclosure and intent on getting a resolution. Now, if they don't have full disclosure, that's when you kind of need a lawyer who can do things like request for order to compel and these other things. But if you both have realized that your road together has come to an end, you're going your separate ways, it's in your best interest to do it in a way that's professional and informed. And I say, if you sat down to play chess, you wouldn't sacrifice your pawn, your bishop, your knight, or your rook unless you knew why. It's the same thing here, or unless you knew the impact of that without a plan. I'm okay with anything that you decide that you want to do. You can relinquish things that you don't have to. And we see that sometimes as well. We also don't want you to fight and spend more money on advisors, for things that you need to. We don't want you to spend $10 to get a $5 asset. But the good news is that you can do this. The good news is that you're a partner in the enterprise. The good news is that you're entitled to half of what you acquired. You're responsible for half of what you incurred. Everything is negotiable. And guess what? You're a partner in the enterprise today, and the day you sign your judgment, you're going to be the president, the CEO, and the trustee of the Bank of YOU. And you can do that. Get ready for it. Look forward. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide. Has Greg been able to join us? There he is, Greg Schmidt.
Thanks, Glenn. Hi, everyone. My name is Gregory Schmidt. As with Glenn, I'm a certified divorce financial analyst. And so not only am I a financial advisor, I have studied to really understand the specific nuances pertaining to divorce and people's finances, particularly with regard to asset division, support calculations, and how to handle this business transaction that we've been discussing. And when it comes to saving money throughout the divorce process in your finances, I think one of the big pieces is being able to have control over your situation. So you can agree, for instance, on the division of your retirement accounts as well as your spouse's retirement accounts. Okay. So we hear about this community property 50-50 split thing, but in order to split an employer-sponsored retirement plan that is an ERISA plan, you need what's called a qualified domestic relation order. And so that's where Quadro comes up. So if you look at the end of the second bullet point there, it says Quadro, QDRO. You'll hear people say that. Quadros cost money. They take a long time. The processing time is obnoxious. And it can be a huge hassle. Now, there are some really interesting things that you can do with a Quadro. Number one, you can avoid the 10% early withdrawal penalty from your retirement account, and you can do that with a lump sum distribution from that account. Sometimes in your situation, that might be something that you need. If you are somebody who does not have the requisite cash flow to support your lifestyle, it may make sense for you to take a distribution from one of these retirement accounts because they tend to be people's big accounts. That's where a lot of your money is. Apart from your home, your retirement account tends to be your second biggest asset. And so if you need money to live on, that might make sense. Also, another reason why you might want a Quadro as opposed to just avoiding them altogether, because again, hassle costs money, is, you have more control of your money and how it's invested outside of an employer-sponsored plan. Within an employer-sponsored plan, like a 401k, you only have the options that they provide you, and they tend to be very limited. And so what you can do is you can use a Quadro, take that money out, put it in an IRA, and then you can invest it in virtually any way under the sun that you want. And so that can also be a really powerful option for people when you're trying to decide what to do with your asset division scenario. And so, depending on your situation and what you want moving forward, there may be good reasons to either minimize or maybe draw up a couple Quadros. And that's it. Next slide, please. Perfect. I'll bring Tommy Evans on. He's our mortgage specialist.
All right. Thank you, Gregory. When it comes to the home, well, let me first introduce myself. I'm a certified mortgage advisor. I'm an independent broker. And so really what that means is that I've got a lot more options than if you walk into your bank and ask them for a loan. They've got, maybe 3 products. We have, hundreds of different investors with tons of different products. And so I just wanted to real briefly kind of talk about the home and how your mortgage can come into play. And so when you guys are in agreement, the number one thing that you got to understand about that is that you're going to get your money quicker. And so if you don't have to go through the court system and wait for them to come up with an agreement that, that you can make up on your own, and, maybe you just get a separation agreement and file it that way. Maybe one of you decides that you're going to buy out the other. You can refinance, you can get them off the loan. You can, do a lot of different things. Maybe you decide you want to keep that loan in place. Whatever you guys agree on, this kind of goes back to one of Glenn's isms, everything's negotiable. And, whichever direction that you decide that you want to do, if you leave the courts out of it, you're going to come up with a resolution that makes the most sense for you and your family. And that's always going to be the best bet. And so, with that said, you can also agree to have somebody take over the house and be fully responsible for that mortgage payment. And so the quicker that can be done, the less likely it is that, they could miss a payment and negatively impact you personally. And so those are going to be my two main points that I wanted to talk about. I would be sending this over to Susan to take over from here, but I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit about the home itself and kind of how that comes into play, which, the first thing that again, when you're selling your house, you're going to get your money quicker. If you can agree that is the path that you decide that you want to go, you're going to get your money a lot sooner, and you're going to come up with an agreement that's going to have a lot less headaches. So you definitely want to go ahead and do your best to try and come up with a reasonable agreement that's going to make the most sense. Now, you're also going to have more options. So you can decide that, perhaps you have young kids and they're going to be nesting, and maybe you want them to stay in the home until they're, out of high school. And so if you got young kids and one of you decides that you're going to, stay in the house, the other one's going to go either rent or buy, you guys can agree upon that. You can also decide that, maybe you've got a senior in high school and maybe you just need to wait a year. So you can say, hey, look, let's wait until, our youngest child gets through high school, and then we'll sell it at that point in time. You can also look to just do it, you could rent. You can just decide that, hey, look, we're just going to go ahead and sell the home and both go rent. You can both go buy. And, maybe you just want to leave the home to your children. So you can just put it in a trust and say, hey, look, kids, you guys take this and we're going to go buy, 2 new homes of our own. And everything that you guys decide is completely up to you, what is right and wrong. The nice thing about doing it on your own terms is the court's not telling you what you need to do. You guys get to decide that. And I think that's a huge, huge benefit. Now, Susan Piazza is a phenomenal realtor. And if you need to consult her, she will be available. We're going to have her contact information. So if you have any realtors questions, she will be available to give you honest and good feedback that can help you along the way. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on back to Patricia and let her take it home from here.
All right. So why are we here and how can we help you? So most people understand that there's a legal component to divorce, but it's important to understand that not all attorneys are created equal. So you want to make sure that your attorney understands all the aspects of divorce. And you want to make sure you have the right attorney for your case. I'm the right attorney for people that want to solve their case outside of court. I'm not the right attorney for people who want to fight in court. So knowing who's the right attorney, if you are going to choose the litigation route, make sure that you still have an attorney that is going to try to settle as many issues outside of court as possible. And understand that you always have that opportunity to settle. I do a lot of mediations where both parties are represented by attorneys. And then they'll come see me to see what issues we can mediate and settle. And maybe there's some issues that the judge needs to make orders on, but others can be settled through mediation. It's important to understand that divorce is highly emotional. And sometimes those emotions block sound decisions. So if you have a therapist or a coach on your team, that's going to help you make sound decisions in your divorce and is going to save you a lot of money. And looking at our financials. So as you've heard tonight, the division of property is the same as dissolving a business. So make sure you have the right financial team in place, that they understand divorce, and they're going to help you help get the best settlement for your situation, for your family. Next slide. So how you can find us. I put some links in. You can follow us on YouTube. Please join our Facebook group. We're always looking for interactive discussions in our Facebook group. We design a lot of our webinars based on questions people are asking. Follow us on Instagram. And we're also part of Divorce Town USA. With that, I am going to go ahead. We're going to stop the recording and bring down the slideshow. And then Glenn, I'm going to stop our live as well. So just give me a minute and we can open it up for some questions and answers. So thank you for joining us. We are the Vesta Irvine Hub.